The sun rose over hundreds of pumping units stretching across the West Texas oil fields. The morning sky glowed orange as the machinery moved steadily in the distance. Tommy Norris stood alone on a ridge overlooking the field. His phone rang. He pulled it from his pocket and answered immediately. "Tell me it's good news." "It's not," the voice on the other end replied. 3 wells were shut down overnight. Tommy's expression darkened. He stared across the field, knowing this was more than a routine problem. A few hours later, executives gathered around a conference table at MTEC's headquarters. Production reports and maps covered the table. "Production is down 15%, one executive said. "Somebody is targeting our operations," another added. Tommy studied a map covered with red markers representing damaged sites and interrupted production. "This isn't sabotage," Tommy said. "It's a declaration of war." At the same time, Cooper arrived at one of the company's drilling sites. Workers stood around instead of doing their jobs. The atmosphere was tense. "We've got men refusing to work," the foreman told him. "Why?" Emma stepped out of the records office carrying a cardboard box filled with files. The morning sun was already hot. She unlocked her car and placed the box on the back seat. Something felt wrong. The parking lot was nearly empty. A pickup truck sat across the street with dark-tinted windows. The engine was running. Emma glanced at it for a moment before getting into her car. As she pulled away, the truck slowly followed. At first she told herself it was a coincidence. Then she turned right. The truck turned right. She turned left. The truck turned left. Her pulse quickened. She picked up her phone and called Jenna. "Emma? I think somebody's following me." "What?" "A black pickup." "Where are you?" Emma checked the road signs. "Heading toward Highway 17? Jenna immediately stood from her desk. "Keep driving. Don't stop anywhere isolated." Emma looked in the mirror. The truck remained 200 yards behind her. Its distance never changed. Jenna grabbed her keys. "I'm calling Mason." Meanwhile, Mason was already speeding down the highway. The text message kept replaying in his mind. Now it's personal. His knuckles turned white around the steering wheel. The truck bounced over uneven pavement as he pushed it harder. His phone rang. "Jenna." He answered instantly. "Tell me you found her." "She's moving. Someone's following her." Mason cursed. "Location?" Jenna gave him the details. "I'm 10 minutes away." "You better make it 5. The call ended. Emma tried to stay calm. The road ahead stretched through open ranch land. No traffic, no businesses, no witnesses. She pressed harder on the gas pedal. The pickup accelerated too. Her heart pounded. The truck suddenly moved into the opposite lane. It began closing the distance. Oh no! The vehicle pulled alongside her. She couldn't see through the dark windows. Then the truck swerved. Emma jerked her steering wheel. Her car nearly left the road. Dust exploded around her. The truck dropped back again, playing with her, testing her. Emma's hands trembled. She pressed the accelerator all the way down. The speedometer climbed. 80, 90, 95. The truck matched her speed effortlessly. A mile ahead, she spotted a gas station. People. Safety. She aimed for it. The pickup immediately accelerated. Its engine roared. It raced forward and cut across her lane. Emma slammed on the brakes. Tires screamed. The car spun sideways. She fought for control. The vehicle skidded onto the shoulder and stopped only feet from a drainage ditch. Silence. For a moment, nothing happened. The pickup stopped 50 yards away. Its driver remained inside. Emma reached for her phone. No signal. The truck's door opened. A man stepped out. Baseball cap, sunglasses, average height, nothing memorable, which made him even more frightening. He slowly walked toward her car. Emma locked the doors. The stranger kept coming. Then another sound filled the air. An engine. Fast. Very fast. A truck appeared over the hill. Mason. The stranger stopped. Mason's pickup flew down the road. The man glanced toward it. Then back at Emma. For a brief second, their eyes met. The stranger smiled. Not angry, not nervous, confident. Then he turned around, jumped into the pickup, and disappeared in a cloud of dust. Mason slammed on the brakes beside Emma. He rushed out. "Emma!" She opened the door and nearly collapsed into his arms. For several seconds, neither spoke. Finally, Mason stepped back. "You okay?" She nodded. Barely. "He wanted me scared. What did he look like?" Emma shook her head. "Normal." Mason hated that answer. Professional people looked normal. That was the problem. Back at headquarters, the atmosphere had changed. The attacks were no longer about business. This was personal. Employees whispered in hallways. Security guards appeared at entrances. Vehicles were checked before entering company property. Mason gathered his leadership team. Everyone looked tired. Everyone looked worried. He placed Emma's photograph on the conference table. No one spoke. "They followed my daughter." The room went silent. "They knew where she was." Jenna stared at the photograph. "Which means somebody is feeding them information." Mason nodded. The possibility hung heavily over the room. A traitor, someone inside, someone trusted. One manager shifted uncomfortably. Another avoided eye contact. Mason noticed everything. "We're locking down communications." Nobody objected. "We assume every phone call is monitored." Still no objections. "We assume every email is compromised." Silence. "And we assume somebody in this room is being watched." The tension became unbearable. After the meeting ended, people left in small groups. Nobody seemed comfortable standing alone. Jenna remained behind. "You really think it's someone inside?" Mason looked toward the door. "I don't know." "You do?" Mason sighed. "I think somebody close to us made a deal." Jenna lowered her voice. "For money? Maybe. Maybe not." Mason nodded. People do dangerous things when they're desperate. Across town, Victor Sloan sat inside a private office. A television mounted on the wall showed coverage of the explosion. Reporters discussed market losses and uncertainty. Victor muted the volume. A man entered, the same man who had followed Emma. Victor didn't look surprised. "You failed." The man shrugged. "I wasn't supposed to take her." Victor studied him. "Then what were you supposed to do?" "Send a message." Victor smiled. "And?" The man sat down. "I think they received it." Victor leaned back. Outside the office window, construction cranes rose above the city skyline. Everything was growing, expanding, changing. Victor loved that. Power belonged to people willing to change the landscape. Oil was never the goal. Control was. The man across from him finally asked the question. "What if Reed won't quit?" Victor's smile disappeared. "Then we'll give him a reason." Back in Red Creek, Sheriff Cole reviewed traffic camera footage. Frame by frame, hour by hour, the black pickup appeared briefly, then vanished. No license plate, no identifiable markings. Nothing. He rubbed his eyes. A knock sounded at the door. Emma entered. "You said you found something." Cole nodded. "I found where the truck came from." Emma stepped closer. "Where?" The sheriff pointed at a map. Her expression changed immediately. The location was unexpected. Not another city. Not another county. The truck had originated from land located only 5 miles outside Red Creek. Someone local, someone nearby, someone watching them. Emma stared at the map. A chill ran down her spine. Because the marked property belonged to a family she had known her entire life. And suddenly, she wasn't sure who she could trust anymore. If you want a 10-minute YouTube-style script based on the transcript, rewritten into a cleaner and more engaging format while keeping the same core ideas, here's a longer version. Cooper Norris just became the most dangerous man in LANDMAN Season 3. Cooper Norris may have just become the most dangerous man in LANDMAN, not because of what he's done, but because of what is about to happen to him. Think about where Cooper started. He wasn't born into power. He wasn't sitting in boardrooms making million-dollar decisions. He was a roughneck working on someone else's oil rig, trying to prove himself every single day. He made mistakes, took risks, and nearly got himself killed more times than anyone can count. Yet, somehow, against all odds, that same young man now finds himself sitting in the president's chair of his father's oil company. On the surface, that sounds like a victory. It sounds like the payoff to everything Cooper has been through, the reward for his growth, the moment when he finally steps out of his father's shadow. But the more I think about it, the more convinced I become that this promotion isn't a reward at all. It's a target. Because in Taylor Sheridan's world, power never comes without consequences. The higher a character rises, the harder reality pushes back. And right now, there are dangers surrounding Cooper that he probably doesn't even realize exist. The cartel knows who he is. The legal system hasn't completely forgotten his past. And perhaps most importantly, the man who built this entire empire is standing right beside him. That means when things eventually go wrong, and they will go wrong, Cooper is going to be the first person hit by the fallout. To understand why Cooper is in more danger than ever before, we have to go back to the decision that changed everything: the deal with Galeno. At the time, Cooper wasn't thinking about long-term consequences. He was young, ambitious, and desperate to prove that he could build something on his own. He wanted independence. He wanted success. Most of all, he wanted to show his father that he didn't need constant guidance. So when Galeno appeared with an opportunity and a massive amount of money, it probably looked like the perfect solution. What Cooper failed to understand was that Galeno wasn't just another investor. He wasn't simply a wealthy businessman looking for profits. He was a cartel boss, a man operating in a world where debts are never forgotten and loyalty is enforced through fear. Taking money from someone like that changes everything. When Cooper accepted that investment, he wasn't just accepting funding. He was accepting obligations. He was tying his future to people who don't play by normal rules. And that's where the real danger begins. Because cartel money doesn't just fund companies, it owns them. More specifically, it owns the people responsible for them. Today, Cooper is the president. His name is attached to the decisions. His name is attached to the company. His name is attached to the future. And if Galeno becomes unhappy, Cooper becomes the easiest target. That's what makes the situation so terrifying. Cooper has matured significantly since the first season. There's no question about that. He's smarter, more capable, more confident. But being smart in the oil business and being prepared to handle cartel pressure are two completely different things. The skills required aren't the same. And I honestly don't know whether Cooper fully understands the world he's stepped into. The danger doesn't stop there. There's also the legal shadow hanging over him. Season 2 appeared to resolve the situation involving Ariana's attacker, but Taylor Sheridan rarely introduces storylines without future consequences. Even when a case is technically closed, the emotional damage remains. People remember, families remember, enemies remember. That means old conflicts can return at any time. Someone connected to that situation could easily reappear with a completely different agenda. If that happens, Cooper will once again find himself under pressure from a direction he never expected. And when you combine that legal risk with cartel involvement, the situation becomes even more dangerous. But there's another threat that many viewers aren't discussing: the danger inside the company itself. At first glance, Toil Exploration and Cattle looks incredibly strong. Tommy is serving as vice president. Rebecca has taken on a major leadership role. Nate handles the financial side. Experienced people are running operations. The company appears to have assembled an impressive team. Yet that strength could also become Cooper's biggest challenge. Why? Because every single person around him has more experience than he does. They've been in the industry longer. They've survived more crises. They've negotiated more deals. They've earned their positions through years of work. And then there's Cooper, the youngest person in the room, the least experienced executive, the man holding the highest title. Whether anyone says it out loud or not, that creates pressure. People will watch every decision he makes, every mistake, every success, every failure. They'll constantly compare him to Tommy. And that's where things become complicated, because Tommy Norris isn't the type of man who quietly steps aside. Officially, he may be vice president. In reality, everyone knows he's still the driving force behind the company. He's going to be involved in every major decision. He's going to voice his opinion. He's going to challenge ideas. He's going to remain the most influential figure in the room. At first, Cooper will probably welcome that. After all, Tommy is his father. He's his mentor. He's the person Cooper trusts most. But eventually, there will come a moment when Cooper wants to make a decision on his own. A moment when he wants to prove he deserves the title. A moment when he wants to lead instead of follow. And when that moment arrives, conflict becomes almost inevitable, because independence is easy to talk about. Actually, earning it is much harder. If Cooper succeeds, he'll prove he's ready. If he fails, the consequences could be catastrophic, not just for him, for everyone. And that's why his story heading into season 3 is so fascinating. He's not weak, he's not incompetent, he's not unworthy, but he might not be ready. And in the world of LANDMAN, being unprepared can be just as dangerous as being powerless. Then there's Ariana. Her role in the story has evolved dramatically. She's no longer just Cooper's girlfriend, she's part of the company. She's professionally connected to the future of toil exploration and cattle. That changes everything, because any threat aimed at Cooper now threatens Ariana as well. If Cooper becomes a target, Ariana could become collateral damage. If the cartel applies pressure, she could be caught in the middle. If legal problems resurface, she could be affected. The closer their lives become, the harder it becomes to separate personal danger from professional danger. That's why I believe Ariana's storyline could become one of the most emotional parts of season 3. The writers have deliberately placed her closer to the center of the action. That usually means she has a bigger role to play. Whether that role involves supporting Cooper, protecting him, or suffering because of the choices he's made remains to be seen. But one thing feels clear. Season 3 is setting Cooper Norris up for the biggest test of his life. He's carrying expectations from his father, pressure from his company, responsibility to his employees, commitments to dangerous investors, and emotional ties that make every decision more complicated. That's an enormous burden for anyone, especially someone still learning how to lead. The question isn't whether challenges are coming. They are. The real question is whether Cooper is ready for them. Because the same promotion that looks like a dream today